Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Madam, and I'm going to talk about the movie Sinners. If you have not seen the movie, I would suggest you go see the movie and make up your own interpretation, free of bias and, what everybody else is saying. Just basically think for yourself, go with a blank uh, mind frame, and experience the movie for yourself. Um, Over the last couple of weeks, we have seen Sinners debut at number one. It is, in my opinion, one of the best films of 2025. Ryan Coogler, he never, fails to disappoint in any project that he lays his hands upon. And, you know, the cast itself, a wide range, diverse cast of people. I have taken the liberty of looking at some of the criticisms and critiques, read a couple of articles before I made this video for myself. And I just want to say that this movie, uh, regardless of how you want to look at it, everyone has a valid point, in my opinion. However, some of the critiques that I have heard and seen are just, in my opinion, utterly ridiculous. Um, while the cast is great, I seen this one TikTok where this person was talking about, Ryan Coogler and his movies and how his movies was trash and how he's not going to go see a movie that, in his terminology, what I could, gather from it was basically he said Sinners was nothing but a movie that displays white hate or bias, or as they say, white guilt. And the thing about that is that what guilt is there to have if you haven't done anything? you know, you haven't done anything to warrant that. You know, um, as a side note, I think this movie parallels with a lot of the real world situations that are going on right now. And, as far as some of the decisions that are being made from the top down in terms of, taking, certain textbooks and literature, movies, and accomplishments of people and people of color out of, mainstream, out of schools, out of universities, out of uh, places where people congregate in general. And one of the things is that a lot of people that I've heard speak about, this movie that's coming out, like the man said in his TikTok, it's wagging the finger, subliminally wagging the finger. But why would it be subliminally wagging the finger when we live in a day and time right now where racism is outwardly apparent? It shows every day. It shows in the decisions that's being made from the top down, from our current administration. It shows in the laws, systems, and institutions, programs that are being gutted because of it. They don't want, and this is just my opinion, they really don't want uh, any person of color or women uh, or anyone that isn't straight white male to hold all the accomplishments, all the achievements, all the accolades. It's nothing that will piss a racist person off more than to see a woman, a transgender, or a person of the LBGT community. I apologize if I forgot a couple of words, but I am including y'all too. Okay, much love to you. It grinds their gears when you see, people of color and women, people basically that are not white, straight, and gay, to have these accomplishments, to have these accolades, whether it be in any genre, whether it be movies. But I'm going to stick with movies because I am talking about the movie Sinners, which I felt the movie did a wonderful job of making it time period, but also its multi verse of just things, vampires, spirituality versus Christianity and things of that nature. And I am going to touch on that a little bit in this video as well. Um, but it just grinds my gear. We even have certain individuals, you know, people of color that are talking down against the movie because it says it promotes white hate. When we can still go see in some places Birth of a Nation. If you don't know what Birth of a Nation is, then maybe you need to Google that. Okay. You can go see all of the critically acclaimed, Academy Awarded uh movies that have time periods where, people of color wasn't seen in a, you know, good light, or they were seen in roles that some people with these issues of white hate and these issues with racism and not loving thy neighbor would prefer to see people in, one being Glory. They were all fine with, Roots when it came out. Well, actually, they wasn't fine when Roots came out, but they were fine with the display of seeing, people of color in chains and things like that. So, it just goes to show you that even though they're trying to push this white guilt, the only person that is trying to push guilt on them is themselves. It's essentially putting a mirror in front of these people and saying, hey, this is what happened. And it really happened. And they're being mad because of what really happened. Now, in terms of the movie, I think the cast was great. I appreciate the fact that, Ryan Coogler reached out to the Asian characters and actually asked them what was one of the things that can be easily recognized in the Chinese diaspora. And, as soon as I seen the movie, when they were in there in the juke joint, and I seen the Monkey King up there chilling, I was like, that's the Monkey King. Like, I have a deep appreciation for that. I also have a deep appreciation for them reaching out to the actor that played Remick, and, him displaying his Irish heritage, which is very important. And if you know anything about Irish heritage, and if you know anything, most people are finding out that it was Chinese people in the South back in that time. And I don't understand how they missed that because, yeah, it was very much prevalent. They had the ability to service black people as well as white people back in those days. But I mean, let's call a spade a spade. When they came here, they were treated bad. They had their, times where they were working in the fields right along with us. And things like that. But nobody, people are starting to have the conversation, but I felt like that's a conversation that should have been had. you know, um, you know, but also the gentleman that played Remick in the Irish, folklore and things like that. When Irish people first came here, they were considered black. They wasn't considered, non-black people. They were basically shunned and things like that. And in my opinion, and if you look at history, the way it played out, the only reason why Irish people really got not the only reason, but one of the reasons why Irish people really got a leg up and wasn't treated like black people were treated after a while was because of the proximity that they had to white people. And it was another way for the ruling class back then to, and they do this with every demographic of people. They did it with the Chinese people, they do it with uh, they did it with the Irish people, they did it with even the Latinos today, uh, they have done the same thing, uh, and other people from different parts of the world, what better way to we always want to keep, people of color, the Africans, people of color down. So what way to, further keep them down than to get these other, um, demographic of people to feel like they're just a tad bit better. They're a tad bit more acceptable or palatable um, to us than black African American people. That's just one real thing. Now I want to move on over to, you know, apologies. I had to stop the video. My son, he is battling the cold right now, changing the weather and things. Okay, moving on from that. Uh, this thing about hoodoo and, you know, religion and things like that, I just feel like it shouldn't even be touched. Hoodoo is a closed practice. It is one of the oldest ancestral forms of spirituality, and I've been seeing a lot of content creators, specifically Christian content creators, are talking about, I don't go watch horror movies and I don't know. Okay, that's fine. That's your preference. I'm cool with that. But to say it's demonic because it showcases something other than, uh, Christianity, which, I mean, let's be honest, Christianity got its own, sordid back history, which is more terrifying, in my opinion, than the movie Sinners could ever be. If you really did your digging about Christianity and how, something as pure as Christianity got railroaded and rewritten um, for exploitation, which is still very prevalent today. But as far as hoodoo, like I said, it's a closed practice. It is something that should be shared. It should not be given the, fall under the moniker of demonic. It's not. It's a form of spirituality. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. So I'm speaking on my perspective of being spiritual. Um, you know, totally different things. Instead of demonizing a certain practice, which is kind of like the hypocritical part of some people saying that it's demonizing Christianity. Christianity has did a very well job way before sinners was even thought or brainstormed in Ryan Coogler's head of, painting a bad light in terms of the history. Anybody know anything about the Inquisition? Anybody know anything about way back then? Anybody know anything about the Council of Nicaea? Anybody know about the how it was literally stolen from Africa, which they have a church which is the oldest church that ever practiced Christianity, and how it was rewritten and smudged over and chopped up to serve people's purposes. But hoodoo, I don't know much about it, but I do know that in every religion There is a good side and there is a bad side to every religion. And I don't feel that hoodoo should be demonized because you don't understand it or what you were taught, instead of actually taking the initiative to actually find out the just basic knowledge of what hoodoo is, and go and give your opinion and say, well, it's demonic. How is it demonic? Because you're relying on the spirits, because you're relying on whatever hoodoo entails. But I do know it is a way of honoring your ancestors, something that Christianity doesn't talk about. Honoring your ancestors and honoring those before. Some may even say that, it preaches servitude, just to be, which is nothing wrong with that. But my thing is, don't demonize another spiritual practice or religion that you don't know about, that you haven't done your due diligence to actually go and find out just the basic start line of what it is and what it represents. A lot of times people are told, oh, don't do that, or or that's demonic and stuff like that. And half of these Christians still spit on the broom when they sweep their feet. Okay. I mean, that's just one example, but hey, I'm not calling a spade a spade. I'm just saying a lot of the things that we do out in our daily lives, especially people of color, has its basis in hoodoo. And that's just the facts. That's just the facts. The most smallest, minute things that your grandmother taught you that was passed down from generation to generation, I can promise you has some relevance in hoodoo. So before you go out here and start saying that it's demonizing Christianity and hoodoo is demonic, you need to go check how you grew up and some of the things that you were told. And why is grandma so suspicious? Why does she do this around certain times, or what stories you heard from your family? And I promise you, it has some remnants of hoodoo in it. I promise you that. So, but that's just my opinion. This video was nothing but my opinion in terms of that. Please feel free to leave a comment. I'm willing to have a serious conversation with anyone. If you felt as though that I said something wrong or something out of turn, please enlighten me, and I will do my best to do the same for you. But to demonize, hoodoo or any spiritual practice is doing a disservice to yourself and your lineage, your real lineage of where you come from, and the people that came before you. So drop down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And with that, you guys, thank you for staying this long if you did. And thank you for the many interruptions that I've had in this video. But I truly do appreciate it. Until then, I will talk to you guys in the next video. But always remember, be good to yourself first. Pushing the blueprint, it's not a feat. Mr. Get off, I get off and